is a little late, but here it is. The Kingdom Chapter 5 for one, and hi for those who are watching. It's me, the Angry Anime Fan, the Despair Reviewer, to bring you this one. Well, this chapter is all about the enemy side of Zhao, as the mighty general of Zhao, Gyuyun is Gyuyun is going out, and one troop member called N, apparently a little bit of a high ranking, but of course not high ranking as that one, begins to tell a story on how these soldiers are. Apparently, mm, the ones that are Gyuyun are commanding are called the Rayun, an elite force. Nowadays they are only 2,000 men, but their strength are still not anywhere the same. So basically, Gyuyun and his army are called the pinnacle of the former Three Great Heaven Army. And so he begins to talk about Rinshu, the general who actually had the title of the, you know, Three Great Heavens. Apparently, this man, while I think in the previous chapter I said that his martial arts weren't that impressive, but his tactical mindset was. Apparently, how this man met his end was not in the battleground. No, it was actually an only disgraceful death of an unknown sickness. He passed away at the peak of his prime, which is one of the reasons why no one mentions him nowadays, because, well, his legends had just started before he actually disappeared. In essence, he was basically something about a fleeting dream, or a man. The man was a fleeting dream. A man of existence was like a fleeting dream or fantasy. So, and yet this man was on the same things as the Shin Six, the Waste Fire Dragons, and the Sun. Sorry, it's a late night, and the South Great Heaven. So N begins to explain that no one took the death of Ryushon Rinshua worse than Guyun, who basically wallowed into the sky. And even more ironic was the fact that it was raining bad that day. I guess that's meant to show grief. A long time ago, Ryunshu commanded about 10 heroes, the Rin family's 10 heroes they were called. However, 8 of them died pretty quickly in battle, because their grief was so big they didn't mind if they died in battle by throwing themselves in impossible odds. And yet those final 2 that we have seen now were Gyuyun and Shulgaru. They actually wanted to sacrifice their lives. However, according to something, Ryunshun had a final conversation for them on his deathbed, because those 2 were the only one to hear his last breaths. And those final words he told them made these men still live to this day. It wasn't words, though, to say you have to live. No, it was something entirely else. And Gyuyun has entered this battlefield not only on Riboko's order, but because he can see that this is it. This is the thing that he was talking about. As Shuyo mentions that Ohon's talent may may very well one day surpass Ako, although it's not exactly known if it's going to be 3 years or even today or tomorrow. So Gyanyun says that does not matter. He is now gonna throw himself into battle in order to get warm up. So, so in that moment, the general of the Gyuyun is actually mentions to Garyu that this is the ground their lords prophesied in their mass matches, and the other general gets a bit emotional as he actually realizes what his lord's final words were, because in the end he only lived for his lord because, well, it was his lord's final words. He really did want to join him in the death, but now he actually know what it really meant. Because according to the flashback, in the final moments, he told those two to not chase after him, meaning follow him into dreams. Because in his delusional state, or maybe in a way to show his love for his soldiers, or the fact that, well, he maybe very well did. He had a dream where he saw them two, where they will actually travel on a scarlet sea, to speak, which is basically a battlefield that is drenched in blood, meaning that they will become heroic figures and they must stay alive because that's their role. The only when the hour arrives, when they enter a scarlet field, will they join him. And this is to them both now, at least now that Shogaru have been reminded of it. This is the battlefield. The battlefield of Sao. This is where these two generals will meet their ends, but not before they end Shin China, of course. But Shin China won't fall that easily. Either way, the Central's most powerful fighters have entered the fray. One wonder what will that create now. Who knows? If Osen managed to surpass this guy, well, where is all the respect to Shin? Because I'm still very sour about that. But yeah, this was all about the enemy side. Loyalty towards one lords can really be is one of the stronger points of kingdom, so to speak. It where you shows the stronger loyalty, the more, well, I wouldn't say blind, but determined is one to always do that and that. Well, it matters not. What matters is that the, this basically this chapter. Sorry if I yawn very much. Again, it's a late evening. It's been a late day. And more than that, I'm actually exhausted because, well, I I just uh, I just figured out I had to do something that I'm not gonna have time to do. Really, it's really annoying. But you give me your thoughts if you have any about this chapter.